Do you have any idea how much I love talking about vampires? I was once on a panel with Bram Stoker's great-grandnephew Dacre talking about vampires in literature. You read the title, you saw the thumbnail. Obviously, I went to go see Robert Edgar's Nosferatu. When it comes to vampires in film and literature, these conversations can go one of two ways. One, I am a normal person who spends a normal amount of time thinking about these things. Or, I spent the majority of my high school and college career studying Gothic literature with a special emphasis on the vampire, and things were about to be very intense. Robert Eggers' Nosferatu is one of the most cinematically beautiful pieces of film I have ever seen. Between the costume design, the set design, the sound design, and especially the lighting design, I have never seen a prettier movie. I could stare at Thomas in that misty forest for hours and be completely content. The way the film crew used color filtering lenses to recreate some of the black and white scenes from the original film was a wonderful callback. Nosferatu nearly became a piece of lost media. Essentially, the entire story is Dracula fan fiction, and the Stoker family were not happy about that. They sued for copyright infringement, and as a result, all of the copies of Nosferatu were sent to be destroyed. However, one copy escaped and had already made its way over to America, where Dracula was considered public domain. Therefore, the film was allowed to be seen and flourish and become one of our cult classics today. Part of my apprehension with remakes like this comes from bringing things from Gothic literature into modern day and honestly being able to market it correctly. When it comes to Gothic literature, things fall into two categories. You've got Gothic horror and you have Gothic romance. While each can have a crossover element of the other, the difference is that Gothic horror focuses more on the actual horror aspects, whereas Gothic romance focuses primarily on the love story. In the context of Nosferatu, while there is a love story involved between Ellen and Thomas, the point of the movie is not the love story. The point is stopping the plague that is both carried to Germany by Count Orlok and Count Orlok as the plague itself. Gothic romance is more in line with films like Crimson Peak, where yes, there are murders, there are ghosts, there are secrets, but overall, it is a story about love. Before I get into more of the movie, I just wanted to say that I've seen a lot of rhetoric on the internet about people disliking this film as, well, they just didn't get it. And I've also seen it quoted from Robert Eggers saying something about not wanting to make another Twilight romance. Here's the deal. We're not gatekeeping vampires. Okay? We are not making fun of people who did not enjoy the movie. We are not going to make anyone feel less than if they did not enjoy the movie. And can we, stop picking on teenage girls? That's, so 2008. When it comes to movies like this, where people are trying to bring the Gothic to a more modern audience, it's not your fault if you didn't like it because your expectations were different than what you were given. And if you didn't like it, that's totally fine. You don't have to like Bram Stoker's Dracula, the source material. You don't have to like the 1922 Nosferatu. You don't have to like the 1979 Nosferatu. You don't have to like anything. But what we're not going to do is insult other people. That being said, I think Eggers did an extraordinary job of modernizing Nosferatu without sacrificing any of the original context of the story. Vampires hold a very unique place in film and literature. They're supposed to be grotesque, they're supposed to be repulsive, they're supposed to be vile. These are literal reanimated corpses come to drink your blood. Monsters in film are meant to push the borders of what feels comfortable. They are supposed to challenge the boundaries of what is acceptable and make you call into question what reality is. These are creatures who are both living and dead. They are flesh and they are shadow. They are repulsion and attraction. They are ultimately predators. I very much appreciated that Eggers' choice of design for Count Orlok reflected back more to Bram Stoker's description of Dracula. I think his choice to keep Bill Skarsgård's look under wraps was absolutely perfect so that he could use light and shadow to kind of tease the audience with the monster reveal. While we do see his face within the first couple of minutes of the film, it's so brief and it's so unexpected that you don't really have time to register what you're looking at. From that point, he largely appears in shadow, which is another boundary between imagination and reality. Is Ellen actually having visions, or is this part of some sort of psychosis? Which plays out in the way in which Count Orlok is slowly revealed. Most of his appearances in the film are as shadows. I feel like he also pulled it off in such a way that we as the audience experience both disgust and this sense of attraction. Look, if you too are a fan of Gothic literature, you can't tell me that Nosferatu was not hot. Of course, hotness is not the point. The point is to emphasize attraction to the other. As always, we have to treat these depictions with care. Not only is Nosferatu representative of the other in the sense that he is this monster, this creature, this vampire, but he is also a foreigner. He's got the hat, he's got the cloak, he's from Transylvania. He is not from Germany. Therefore, he is the other. And especially in his 1922 appearance, there's been a lot of rhetoric surrounding why he appears as he does. Even though the depictions of these monsters aren't intentionally harmful, that doesn't mean they aren't. The secondary theme for Eggers' Nosferatu is obsession, which circumvents how we're supposed to feel about these characters. With a character like Thomas, we're supposed to be on his side. He's a devoted, loving husband. Instead of choosing to stay with his wife, who is clearly freaking out, Thomas chooses his own ambition. He chooses to leave his wife, travel for weeks across the country to a place he has never been in order to secure himself a future that he believes he deserves. He trades his wife's distress for the chance to make money and gain a position at this solicitor's firm. Ellen, for her part, is obsessed with Orlok, not only in how repulsed she is by him, but in how she feels such shame for her attraction to this beast. She's unable to sever her connection to this thing. All she wanted was companionship and comfort, more than likely after suffering abuse at the hands of her father, and what she summoned instead is a predator. Most of the actions we see center around the Victorians' obsession with sex and death. Of course, Count Orlok is also obsessed with Ellen, but he doesn't want companionship, he wants her blood. He wants her life for his own, which is why a lot of this movie feels like a possession film, because it is. Originally, the only scene I felt was out of place was between Ellen and Thomas on the couch. But the more I thought about it, the more I feel it's just another demonstration of acting on forbidden impulses. You can't tell me Thomas isn't just a little bit freaky if that's his reaction to Ellen literally ripping open her bodice. I do wish a couple of the elements of the film had been different, specifically Herr Knock's involvement with Count Orlok. Because of the setup with Ellen having summoned Count Orlok, I felt like the weird naked man occult ritual scene was kind of unnecessary, especially since at the beginning of the film, we see Herr Knock is already sick, he's already infected. I think it would have been better done as a surprise, like, oh shit, you were his minion all along and that's how he found out that Ellen was here. Cause like, what are the chances that he was just like, hey Thomas, go sell this freaky guy the house across the street from yours cause he's totally not obsessed with your wife or anything. In the 1922 film, that's precisely how it happens. Thomas, although I don't think his name was Thomas in the original film, I'm not sure that he actually had a name other than Hutter, goes to this castle. Count Orlok sees a photo of Ellen and is like, oh, she has a beautiful neck. And thus, fuckery ensues. I also wish that there had been more of a focus on the 3 days Ellen had to accept Orlok's proposal versus some of the other things that took place in the film. I understand their significance, but I think they would have had a greater impact if we had gotten to know the characters better, or been able to really see Ellen's connection to them before they were ultimately killed to punish Ellen for her refusal. Even though Anna's death was supposed to be impactful, and so were the deaths of her children, we didn't actually know what the children's names were until they were dead. But overall, I had an excellent time watching this movie. In fact, I think I am going to go see it again before it leaves theaters. I'm really excited about the renaissance in monster media. Monster theory is fascinating and truly one of my favorite things to talk about. So if you enjoyed listening to me ramble about vampires, consider subscribing, hit that like button to let me know you want more content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!